Pork ribs cooked hot and fast under an hour that taste this good should be illegal. I'm going to show you 4 easy steps to smash out the fastest pork ribs ever. We'll cover the prep, the seasoning and glazing, and shoving them in your face hole when finished. So just sit back, grab a drink or two and let's get into it. We'll be needing a rack of pork ribs for this cook, and baby back ribs are going to do just fine. I rang Mick, my butcher, and asked him if he had a rack I could grab. And he said, sure, you can grab anything you want. Smut! So, rack of ribs acquired. Ribs have a membrane on the back of them. It's chewy and no one likes it. Easy enough to fix. Grab some gloves, put them on with a snap, so it looks like you know what you're doing. Using a butter knife that has a nice rounded edge is what I'd normally use to pry under that membrane to get it started and rip it off. But these ribs don't have the membrane on. Step 1 is grabbing a large knife, slicing in between the bones to separate the ribs. And don't forget, just take your time. You don't want to lose a finger. Placing these on a tray of your choosing. Time for some flavour. You can use your favourite barbecue rub at this stage. Today I'm going with 4 Monkeys pork rub. Give the ribs a generous coating and make sure that they're all covered. Notice I didn't use a binder on these pork ribs. That's because pork tends to sweat when you put the rub on it. And then that rub turns into a glaze. Step 2 is setting up your barbecue correctly. And today I'm going to be using a 57cm spherical shaped charcoal burning apparatus, and I'm going to be pairing it up with a kettle cone. Why? Because I want to be cooking at temps of 240 degrees Celsius and above today. And how I'll do that is by 3/4 filling a chimney starter with briquettes, lighting them up. Once they're all ashed over, I'll grab the kettle cone, I'll put it in the middle of the charcoal grate, and I'll dump that fuel into it. And add a chunk of cherry wood for some smoky flavour. I'll carefully place the grill back in place, then popping the lid on, making sure all the vents are wide open, and we're going to give that 10 minutes to warm up. Once the grill is warmed up, and place the pork ribs around the outer edge of the cooking grate, because this is where that high heat from the kettle cone is being forced. Slam the lid down and grab a drink. It's been proven that drinking while barbecuing creates better barbecue. It's true, because it's science. Cheers. Step 3 is making sure the ribs cook evenly. And if you didn't know, the Weber lid vent creates a hot spot as cold air is sucked in through the bowl vents up and around our food. It is then forced out through the lid vent, and that creates the hot spot. So what I recommend is turning the lid 1/3 of the way every 15 minutes during the cook. Time to make some glaze. Into a pot, throw all of these ingredients and heat them up over a low heat, and once everything is dissolved, remove the pot from the heat. These ribs have been cooking for 45 minutes. It's time to get them off the heat and place them into a container. Add the glaze, pop the lid on and shake them up like you just don't care. Pop these back on the barbecue around the outer edges of the cooking grate and pop the lid back on. Today I was cooking with a high indirect heat of 240 degrees Celsius, and all up, this cook took 50 minutes. Or for those of you who love to follow my beer timer, you're looking at a 2-beer cook. Cheers. Step 4 is not to allow the ribs to cook too long with that glaze on them. And after 5 minutes, we can get them off the heat. All that's left to do is shove them in your face hole.